Tony Agard, and Russell Stewart. And I'm going to ask that each of them at the beginning just introduce themselves and offer a little bit so that we understand the importance of the folks that are presenting to us. There's some ground rules that I hope we can operate by. Let's allow our different speakers to offer their full presentations. We're going to have a QA session at the end of our afternoon, after we've had a set of speakers up until lunch. After lunch, we're going to continue having more speakers. They're going to be Henry Noah, Michelle Kauhano, Jonathan Osorio, Walter Rudy, and Bumpy Kamahele. After that, we're going to have the panel come up to the table, and we'll have QA. So there'll be time for you to ask questions. If you can please hold your questions till that time, that would be much, much appreciated. Since we got into the discussion kind of spontaneously this morning, we didn't get to do some housekeeping. So let me go through some just basic housekeeping. There's the lua down this way, and all the way in, if you come down, there's sort of a tea hall. And so there's Kane on this side, Wahine on this side of the tea hall, or Kane and Wahine down the hall, past the pillars this way, if you guys want to go. And if anybody does go, well, when you go, the code you're going to need, you punch it in. For Wahine, it's 614. Oh, hello, I work here. See how much you guys will fluster me this morning. Can you remember the number? Okay. 641. Thank you. And then Kane, I hope I get this one right. 719. Okay, 719. Oh, you guys already, you guys ma over here already, you guys know. Okay, so it's been decades and decades and decades that our people have been working on trying to figure out, problem solve. Same kind of stuff we've been problem solving this morning, get all kinds of stuff to problem solving. And the people that are going to be speaking have invested so much of their lives in coming up with these ideas, right? And working with their groups, lots of wonderful, wonderful mana'o from many of our lahui. So let's hear from them and offer them our greatest respect in hearing what they have to say. Mahalo.
Yeah, thanks. We might be doing that shortly. Aloha mai kako. My name is Suli Stroud. I stand before you in great humility. Standing with me is my beloved mother, who passed away, and I know her spirit is with me today. Also standing with her is my dear Kupuna, who I love and know that these kindred spirits inspire and guide my actions, and I hope my deeds this day. Kamana'o, we hope that you are resting. If you're watching this live feed, don't get too excited. We need your strength and energy, and we pray for you as well. We have before us a clarion call, and that is to Hawaiians to join together, and I think that's why we're all here, and that's why we feel that this time is an important time for us to be together. So I stand before you again representing the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, and by the show of hands, how many here are Civic Club members? Okay, very good. I'm glad to see they're on both sides of the room. And that, to me, is an important thing to advancing this slide here. Okay, there we go. So it's important for me to say up front and for us to have an understanding that we are a membership organization. Today we comprise 68 civic clubs. Membership in the civic clubs total a little over 5,000 members. Civic clubs are autonomous, and what that means is that they have their own constitution and bylaws, and they have patterns of governance that they have in each of the clubs. There is an expectation, however, that they do comply with the constitution and bylaws of our councils as well as the association. We hope that the Civic Club is a voice for issues of the Hawaiian people. Now, with that said, it's a majority voice. And again, there's the extremes of our opinions, but when we come together, we try to come up with a majority voice. So a lot of what I'll be sharing with you today is the majority voice. Just briefly, the Civic Club movement began in 1918. Our founder, Prince Kuhio, he felt as he was working in Washington that there was a need for there to be work at home, for the community to get involved. As he was doing the work in D.C., again, there was a need for the community here to be engaged in the work of the Hawaiians. It was his hope in these next two statements. The purpose of the civic clubs was to elevate and promote social, economic, civic, and intellectual status of Hawaiians, to also promote the principles of good government, outstanding citizenship, and civic pride in the inherent progress of Hawaii and her people. Again, that was the founding vision that Prince Kuhio had for the civic clubs. Now, after 1918, many clubs formed very quickly. Again, some of those clubs are listed there. As clubs began to grow, there was a need for consolidating and coordinating club activities, as well as chartering new clubs as they had a desire to do so. So in 1959, the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs forms, and again, the purpose of the association is to, again, unite and bring the clubs together and to, again, take charge of the chartering process. So today, if we look at today, there are 68 civic clubs throughout Hawaii and also on the continent. Again, here the breakout shows on Hawaii. In the council, there's 11 civic clubs. On Maui, there's 5. Oahu, there's 27. Kauai Council, there's 4. And if you note on the mainland council, there's 21 civic clubs. If you also note the states in which the civic clubs reside, wherever there is high population of Hawaiians, in those communities we have civic clubs. So if you look at, again, all the way from Alaska to Washington, D.C. and states in between. Our civic club, as far as how we manage our business, we do rely on Robert's Rules of Order to transact business. Members are expected to have a basic knowledge of Robert Rules of Order and parliamentary procedure. Members are expected to take leadership roles within their clubs or councils and even the association. Again, speaking of leadership, we have elected positions, the president, the vice presidents, the treasurers. These positions are elected every 2 years, and there are term limits in place. There is also a board of directors as far as governance. We have 19 members on the board, and as you can see there, all of the island, all of the councils are represented by board members. We have, again, under leadership, first vice presidents with Kuleana over the following committees. So as we organize our structure in the association, we rely on committees and committee chairs and committee members to do the work of, again, the association. Again, the committees listed there are under the first vice president. The second vice president, again, noting their committee chairs and their responsibilities. Note here some of the chairs. Economic development is a big chair that's starting to play a large role in what we're talking about here today as far as governance. Native Rights Committee, some of our committee chairs are actually in the room today. Again, as far as process, resolutions becomes the voice of the association. Resolutions come out of the clubs, they come out of the councils, they come from committee chairs, and these resolutions are sent 60 days prior to our national convention. The resolutions are sent to the membership, and the purpose of that is for our entire membership of 5,000 to look at the resolutions and see what's going to be discussed. Now, at convention, the resolutions are assigned to committees where these resolutions are discussed, possibly amended, and then acted upon under committee rules. The committee chair prepares a report. This report goes to the House of Delegates at our convention. The entire House of Delegates discuss and debate the issues that are before them. And as far as representation, there is one delegate per 10 members that represents, again, their membership, their club. The reason why I'm sharing all of this with you, this background, is our voice as the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, again, comes from this work of the resolutions. Many, but not all resolutions will go to the state legislature. The governor, the congressional delegations, the mayors, federal, state, county agencies will receive our resolutions. Many will act upon those resolutions. Many will adopt those resolutions as if their own, as they, run through, for example, the state legislature. The resolutions that are passed, they act as a policy statement and guides for testimonies on legislative matters. So again, our vision as the Association of Hawaiian Civic Club is to be a recognized voice for the Native Hawaiian people. I will say, as a side note, that our last convention, we had a delegation that numbered around 250 attendees at our national convention, was a little under 500. Now, the question then is, how does our approach help to rebuild the Hawaiian nation? The foundation of the civic club movement is the civic club itself, where civic clubs in their communities, where they elevate, promote social, economic, civic, and intellectual status of Hawaiians, we feel the community is better because of that. So the strength of the association is the civic club in the community doing the work that our founder envisioned. Also, as civic clubs promote principles of good government, outstanding citizenship, and civic pride, we feel again the inherent progress of Hawaii and all of her people is perpetuated. So this is our approach to nation building, is coming together in a delegation and coming together with resolutions, with items that are important to those communities. So the following then are steps that should or could be taken to rebuild our Hawaiian nation. And what I'm going to share with you now are resolutions that came out of our convention last year and some of the years before. And as you look at the titles of the resolution, I think you'll quickly see that there's a broad spectrum of initiatives and positions that we've taken. Again, the first resolution speaking to having the Department of Education understand, again, Hawaiian history. Again, that came out as a resolution. Lynette Cruz and her civic club, Kale Maili Ali'i Hawaiian Civic Club, this was a resolution that their club came up with that was debated and passed at our convention. Now, the establishment of foreign trade zones, this is a resolution that does allow trade zones to be established that can defer custom duties, lowering the duties. Because of because of high security, there's also lower security insurance rates. Again, there's a lot in these resolutions. It's a lot to cover. For those that are interested, if you go to our website, You can pull up any of these resolutions and look at the content of the resolution and see what it is involving. The next resolution speaks to closely held corporations that are separate and distinct from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Again, the idea of these corporations, shareholders are Hawaiians, there's no outside investors, it's an elected process of officers and directors, dividends are paid. Again, there are some models of successful corporations. There's also many corporations that have failed. But the idea of the corporation and proper management certainly is something we should look at. We do and have many resolutions speaking to nationhood and to nationhood dialogues, and we are in the process of doing that. The association stands prepared to be a part of this process and to engage our communities likewise. We had civic club members that went to Alta, Norway, and it was a conference of indigenous peoples. And while they were there, there was a document that came out called the Alta Outcome Document. This is a document that we're prepared to share with everyone. And again, that document discusses indigenous rights, the lands, the ocean, the waters. The civic clubs have a resolution that speaks to a constitutional convention. We feel that we have the ability, because we've been doing it since 1959, to organize, plan, and manage a constitutional convention. We would like to offer our services in doing so. We'd like to collaborate with others in doing that as well. I'm stuck. I'm not sure if my time's up. Okay, there we go. Again, other resolutions, I believe my time is short. Again, this will be available for those that are interested. We had a discussion on the Hawaiian National Sustainability Plan. We had a discussion in the resolution that talks about community input and participation, which again is what we're here for. I wanted to end by just speaking about, there are resolutions that again do not get accepted or adopted by the House of Delegates. This is one resolution that called for an executive order from President Obama. Again, it was discussed, it was vetted in community or in committee, but again did not make it through our process and accepted as a resolution. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that the minority in this case had a valid position that they wanted to bring to the convention. It was brought, it was discussed, but again, the majority in this case does rule. There was also a resolution that talked about facilitating qualified Native Hawaiians in the formation of their government. This resolution actually mirrors the discussion we had earlier today. But again, that discussion was had. The last resolution I want to speak to talks about a registry of descendants of the Hawaii Kingdom nationals, again, who signed the Kuwait petition in 1997. This again was a suggestion that was brought to the House of Delegates as a way to involve all Hawaiians in another process as far as identifying their potential participation in signing up as a registry of descendants. So in conclusion, we feel the association has the capacity to plan and organize a constitutional convention, and we look forward to that opportunity to participate with all of you in that. The association is developing a national statement of principles. We'd be happy to share that with you as well. As far as outreach, these are resolutions that talks about outreach, community, education, informing the community as far as what process we're involved with now. As far as sustainability, we do have some specific resolutions that talk about sustainability and what it takes to be a viable nation that is dependent on ourselves and not on on the others. But we do have some plans in place that we would, again, love to share with you. Our founder, Prince Kuhio, on his deathbed, this was his wish. I hope it is all of our wishes for Hawaiians to join together in unity and try to agree so that the answer to a large problem, the life of the race, can be found. And with that, mahalo, appreciate your time.
Mahalo nui, Suli. Pokalai nui.
Ano ai me ke aloha e na hulu manalike ole. I am Pokalai Nui. He Hawaii au. There's three things I hope to do in the limited time that I have. Number one is to express stages of decolonization, which may be new to some of you. Second is to talk about an issue that we have not addressed, and that is dealing with deep culture. The way we operate with one another, the way we operate with our environment, the way we operate with other nations. And the third is how to bring about the unity that Brother had just talked about as Kuhio expressed that concern. And that will be moving from the or choice to the and choice in terms of integration or independence. So let me begin first, and I will be introducing myself as we go through my full presentation. At present, I am the chairperson of the Native Hawaiian Convention. You see, the idea of decolonizing an area, sometimes we think it's very simple. Take the colonial power, get them out of territory, and allow us to govern. Therefore, we are decolonized. But what happens is that as we study what has happened in other countries, they leave the institutions in place. They leave the basic governing principle in place. You look at many of the nations that have decolonized, you look at the constitutional structure merely mirror images the constitutions of the prior colonizer. Is that really what decolonization is? What happens to the hopes and dreams of the people themselves? Have they been given an opportunity to explore what is the hopes? Where do you want to be 25 years from now, 30, 50 years from now? Without that kind of opportunity to really decolonize, not only the territory, but to decolonize ourselves and our institutions and the principles by which we work by, you haven't really decolonized. All you have done, if at all, is substitute different leaders for the existing structure that you now have. So in our case, if that is what happens, all you do is have Native Hawaiians ruling the society rather than the Haoles, the Japanese, and the rest. But if the institutions remain the same, if the dreams of Hawaii remain the same, have we really decolonized? In other words, what one guy told me, hey, you might win the rat race, but you all end up being rats. So I suggest that decolonization is a little bit more intricate than that, and what I want to do is lay out 5 stages of decolonization. The first stage is what some of us started or went through in about the 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, and we're still going through it. And that is a stage of recovery and rediscovery. In 72, it struck me while I was in the United States Air Force, volunteered to go fight for the American nation because the Vietnam War was going on, and then I pick up a book written by Lili Okolani. And she speaks to me over this period of time through literacy, telling me about the details of the illegality of the overthrow. And then I move more and more into what exactly had happened. I get into the Hawaiian culture and I begin my process of recovery and rediscovery, which many of us had not even entered into. As a result of that, I enter into a second phase, and that is the mourning phase, the anger phase. Sometimes we call it a piss-off stage. While in the military, I'm seeing myself as a member of that military organization that participated in the overthrow of our very government. I started plotting to kill Americans. I started plotting to blow up buildings. I was so angry that I wanted to just get rid of these folks. Many of us have seen others in this period of mourning, in this period of anger. Sometimes just listen to the voices of others. We can recognize that this is a stage that they are in as they express their passion. It's not wrong. It's just part of the maturation stages as we move towards decolonization. We've got to go through that. Any people who have been so injured as we have been will go through this mourning phase. The problem there is that sometimes we get locked into the mourning. We get locked into the awfulizing. Then we build a career on the fact that, oh, poor us. We stuck over here, they took this, they took that, and the rest. And that is where the conversation begins and ends. Okay? Sometimes we call it, we get stuck in the awfulizing. And we build our careers from that. And what happens is the media loves to play that game. Oh, let me put a microphone in front of you so that you can express why the Haole should go home, why the Japanese should go home, and all the problems of Hawaii, and we're going to call you a Hawaiian leader. And so everybody else who no more the microphone in front of them says, oh yes, our Hawaiian leader. We have seen many of those things going on in our community, in our society. And yet other people are asking, can we build our nation? Can we build our future? Merely on the historical injustices that have occurred? Or is Hawaii something more than that? We recognize the historical injustice. That gives us a springboard to push us into Hawaii's future. But Hawaii is far more than just historical injustices. We have to start dreaming about other things. What can our nation be? How do we formulate a nation? How do we protect one another? And so, out of that mourning phase, you come into the third stage, the dreaming. And then you begin to ask these questions. How can we survive as an independent nation? Who will protect us if the Americans pull out? Economically, can we survive? Socially, what new rules do we follow? So as you get into this discussion, this dreaming, then you have all these different ideas. Some people say we need to retain the protection of the United States that protects the Office of Hawaiian Affairs' existence. Bishop Estate, leave them alone. All of the Ali Trust, leave them alone. What about Hawaiian Homes Program? Leave them alone. We want that protected. And yet, we still have this yearning for our independent nation. How do we bring the two together? Or can it be brought together? And so you have all these questions being asked, and as you engage in this dreaming process, you begin to answer these things. There are new rules that can be followed in even national security. There are rules about foreign trade. Why is it that we are not collecting on the tourists coming into Hawaii, and yet the Americans can charge for all the visas that they have? Why should we be controlled by American laws with regards to foreign relations? So the fact is that we were an independent nation and we survived pretty well. Why are we so limited in our dreaming? So this gives us a time to dream with one another, to project what is Hawaii, where do we go? What is the role of the indigenous people within a Hawaiian nation, recognizing that it wasn't only the race that we're Hawaiians. Hawaiian is a term of nationality, not a term of race. And when they switch that definition, when they ask you, hey, what's your nationality? Oh, I'm Chinese, Hawaiian, Haole, Portuguese, etc., etc. We're wrong. We answer as if we don't have a nation. That is part of the dreaming. Okay? Even our language, we begin to colonize ourselves. We call that place a mainland rather than America. So this is the process in which we talk with one another. We open it wide enough so everybody can come in and join in that dreaming. And then we get frustrated because there's others who say, I'm the king, or I sit on the throne, or I'm whatever it is. And then they're going all over the place claiming that they represent the nation, and yet we are saying, but we never got invited to the party that elected you. Or we're not members of your family. Or where do you get this from? This isn't a collective effort. This seems to be separate effort, but very important separate efforts. Because without that, you have 200 or more thousand Hawaiians with all independent voices. By the creation of this gathering together, at least now we can come together and begin to conduct this conversation. Then over a period of time, and let's go back to about 1993, you remember that event? Many of you participated at Iolani Palace. 100th anniversary of the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian nation. I did a radio broadcast with Hawaii Public Radio. Everything is as it was, and you are there to review the events that occurred. Then the state legislature passes its first confession. They call it the apology resolution, in which they say, yeah, it's true. We were invaded illegally, and now the government that exists here, we ought to stop questioning that. Then at the end of the year, December 1993, Cleveland signs another confession. They call it the apology resolution. Talking about essentially the same thing. Thank you. Clinton, not Cleveland, Clinton. Please, no interruption from the peanut gallery. But you're right. Okay. Okay, now, cool down. So what happens is this. The state legislature says, hey, this Hawaiian sovereignty issue, we got to do something about it. So they created an entity called the Sovereignty Advisory Commission. 9 people appointed to the commission. I was appointed to the commission. So we sit down, we talk about it. OHA had representative, Hawaiian Homes organization. So we get all different people. Okay. So we prepared our report. We sent it to the legislature. The chairman of the Senate Hawaiian Affairs Committee refused to accept it. He says, I cannot accept the report. You essentially saying that we illegal? That there was an illegal overthrow, and as a result of that, this is where we're at now? I refuse to accept it. So we said, well, you ask us, this is our conclusion. So what they did, they formed a new organization called the Hawaiian Sovereignty Advisory Commission. 21 people this time. 5 selected by the legislature, the rest appointed by John Waihe, governor. Nominated from Hawaiian organizations. Okay, I got selected and I sat on the Hawaiian Sovereignty Advisory Commission. So they asked us, what can we do? How can we pull the Hawaiians together? Our response was, we cannot tell you. We're appointed by you folks. If we are to answer that question, we got to go out into the communities and ask the communities, where do we go? So they say, go ahead, do exactly that. We went to every large native Hawaiian community. Unfortunately, we didn't go to Niihau. We went all over America, and we started talking about where do we go. What you saw this morning was what we went through in every community. We were accused. We had one guy who actually make, who was a member of our organization. And we were told, you traitors. Why? Well, because you folks funded by the government. Okay, you get money to fund us instead? No. The point that we were trying to drive is it's not the source of funds. It's the integrity of the movement and whether or not the people are true to the purpose. And so what we did, we listened to all the voices. And I was, in times, on the losing side. They said, hey, we cannot wait any longer. We get everybody claiming to be kings and queens. We need to start moving and get our own delegates. We need to elect our own delegates. Let them all meet in a convention and beef it out. And then present to us what the proposal is. Not that they're going to decide on the formation, but then you have to come back to us and we will see if we ratify or we don't ratify your agreement. My point was too early. Our Hawaiian population don't really understand the issue. 1977, I graduated from law school in 76. I represented this defendant, Wilfred Kala'au Alapulava, in a double murder, double kidnap case. At that time, I raised the issue when they asked, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty? I said, we refuse to dignify this cause. We are not Americans, we are Hawaiians. Who are you foreigners to come into our government, into our nation, and charge our Hawaiian citizens by your laws? It's not a question of his guilt or not guilt. The real question is who has jurisdiction to stand over that. At that time, it was Judge, what was his name? Lanham. I read Cleveland's address to Congress, point for point, and he says, Mr. Burgess, this is the most fantastic story I have ever heard. And yet, I was a representative in the legislature. I was in the territorial legislature. I'm now a circuit court judge. I'm married to a Hawaiian woman. I have children who are part Hawaiian. I never heard this story. You move from that time to about 1995, 1996, when we were going out to the public. I felt that the whole Hawaiian public was not ready for it. The response was, well, how long more are we going to wait? Our people are already dying. Every time we look in the newspaper, we We cannot wait any longer. And I think we were right in the end. So we put the vote to the people. Shall the Hawaiians elect their own delegates to meet in a convention, to propose a Native Hawaiian convention? 23,000 had voted, 73% said yes. The rest said no. So we went to the next step. We said, okay, we got to elect delegates. And we created an election process. In this process, we said, as long as you poe Hawaii and you claim to be, you can vote. You can be a citizen of the United States, you can be a citizen of Switzerland, of wherever it is. We're not going to judge you by citizenship. Also, we're not going to take away your right to vote because some judge said that from now on you have no more civil rights. We went into the jails and we registered people in the jails. It was a wide open process. We did have one limitation, 18 years old. We had people who voted from Switzerland. We got ballots from the African nation, I forget, Zimbabwe, I think it was. We got from Asia. This was an open election. We elected 89 delegates. We've been meeting. We divide into different committees. We go out into the public. We always welcome people who want to come and share their opinions. I was a chairperson of the International Relations Committee. We had a governance committee. We had a description of the territory. We had a description of who are the citizens of this nation. We came out, I see my time is running out. We came out with two proposals. One, we will submit for an integrationist model, very similar to the Akaka bill. Second proposal, we submit for an independent nation. And in that independent nation, we have a model in which we secure the place of the poe Hawaii, but we also recognize that it is more than just a poe Hawaii who had been citizens and have a right to be citizens, so we also have a general community. We had been ready to propose, to put out this process. And what happens? The money rug gets pulled out from under us. OHA then started moving out towards the Akaka bill. And that seems to be their only direction. The state legislature, the chairman of the Senate Hawaiian Affairs Committee, refused to fund us anymore. We cannot conclude our process. My suggestion is that we do go ahead and conclude that process. If we made a promise, it's what we call hua'olelo. If you can say something, stick to the promise. We have to conclude that process. Put it out to the people. If you want another convention, you want to review it, it's up to you. If we vote for integration, then we need to come back and talk about how we're going to integrate within the United States. If we move for independence, we need another election. Have the people come in and talk about those two. Oftentimes, we get stuck into this mentality. Either integration or independence. Part of the United States or a sovereign independent nation. This conjunction, two letters, or, has divided our Hawaiian community. And we seem to be continually arguing about either this way or that way. What you're not a loyal Hawaiian citizen, what you want to be an American citizen, or what you're going to do with Hawaiian homes. You mean that we're going to be an independent nation, we wipe all of that out, etc., etc., etc. That's the stupid conjunction. And our leadership, myself included, have not been advocating efficiently and effectively enough to recognize that there's another conjunction, and that conjunction is and. We want to protect all of these things that we now have, and we want our independence. What makes it so that that I have to split myself? We got to split our families. We got to split our Hawaiian people into this side or that side. That's stupid. We need to change our mentality to recognize that it's an inclusiveness. If we are going to pull our people together, let us welcome everyone into the house. We can go to support integration at this point, but we're certainly not giving up our independence, and we need to have that stated very clearly. And not only stated, but start working to the independence while we are protecting all of the stuff that we now have. And in this way, we can pull our Hawaiian people together. I'm sorry, my time is up. I have not been able to talk about this other concept of deep culture, the difference between domination, individualism, and exclusion, which is somehow what we have been working on for too long, and we lose sight of the other side. Instead of domination, it's olu-olu. Instead of individualism, it's lokahi. Instead of exclusion, it's aloha. Olu-olu, lokahi, and aloha, ola. We need to build our society based on new deep cultures, new principles of ola rather than die. I'm sorry again, for exceeding my time. Thank you very much.
Mahalo Poha. Our next speaker is Kenny Agard.
Aloha, everyone. Good morning. Last night, after 9 o'clock, I received something in the email talking about the subject that we would be discussing today, and I'm about to discuss now. When I read the email last night, after 9 o'clock, I did not understand the question. After having talked to the OHA staff, I now understand what they were asking us to address today. If we're going to build a nation again, what makes us different from other countries? So I thought about that. Why would we spend the kind of time we've spent in the last several decades to build a nation? What separates us? Why is it so important to us? And what came to my mind last night was our cultural values. We cannot enter this process of building a nation without going back and implementing and practicing and preaching the very cultural values that make us who we are. I can talk about politics and stuff like that. I'm good at that. What we have missed is being true to our cultural values as a part of instituting and building this nation. Nation is going to be no different from other nations unless we make it happen in a cultural way to practice those things that are dear to us. One of the things that we've talked about in the past was we must establish a code of conduct when we meet each other and talk about these important issues of building a nation. We must demand mutual respect amongst each other, despite the fact that we have differences in the approaches. Many of us in this room have been in countless meetings, and we, in order to progress successfully, we must understand that even though my brother and my sister have a different opinion than me, we should not diss them. We should understand their position, but retain our right to disagree. I can disagree with you, you can disagree with me, but we need to maintain respect because everyone has a right to their own opinion. And when we conduct ourselves, that code of conduct should require mutual respect. Without that, we won't succeed. So what I'm saying to you folks is that as we continue our progress, as we move forward, as we build our nation, we must take this into account now. By establishing a clear list of basic fundamental values to guide our building process, it will only enhance our chances of success. We must insist we practice what we preach. We remind each other as we're going along. Talk is cheap. Actions and deeds is what counts. So if we're going to elevate the discussion, if we're going to be a success, if we're going to build this nation once again, we need to take that into account. Spirit of Aloha is with us. Let's remind ourselves of that. Now, as we get into the more political nature, perhaps the more practical nature of looking at what type or what form of government will provide the best option for our Lahui. We've talked about the options many times. Let me suggest, should we decide to go for independence, we need to look at what blessings we have been given through our aina. Our kuleana to use and care for those blessings with Kanaka Maoli values. Independence, economic prosperity. How do we use the blessings of this aina? What hinders economic prosperity in our islands? What would generate a thriving economy for all the peoples of our islands? How do we attract business to Hawaii that's compatible with our values? As an independent nation, can we get better economic incentives for business to thrive and grow? How do we create jobs? How do we create perpetual income for our nation? How do we share our nation's income with other people? There has been a misdirection in our lives. There have been other people that have been controlling the economics. To be a part of that. How do we be a part of that? Having an independent nation will provide the opportunity for us to control our own destiny. Independence as the financial hub of the Pacific. Hawaii has two of the top 5 banks in the United States of America. Could these banks be the foundation of the Hawaii Swiss banking system? With what's happening in the American banking system and all the many negative impacts, would be able to attract other people, utilize Hawaii as a safe haven for foreign countries to do business here in the banking industry? Think about that. We're in the middle Pacific. East comes to the west comes to east. We're in the middle. We have an opportunity to establish our own banking system here in Hawaii as an independent nation. The economic diversity that can be achieved through our own banking system is limitless. And we need to pay attention to that. Because nobody wants to go to a nation that cannot support itself economically. We need to have and we need to concentrate on some of the issues that have been already presented by Bumpy and others about a bank, a Native Hawaiian bank, where all of us are shareholders.
Panama. Panama is a offshore banking haven for the top businesses in the world.
I can hear myself now.
U.S. businesses like
Walmart,
they use the country of Panama as a pass-through to import goods it sells and re-exports those goods to higher prices in the U.S. economy. Lifting or changing trade commerce restrictions will bring an influx of new business to Hawaii.
I have been talking to a Hawaiian gentleman who has been doing trade and commerce, and I'm thinking to myself, the opportunities there are tremendous. If we were an independent nation, what could we do in terms of getting a piece of that pie? That pie is big. Next, independence. What would that mean? It would mean return of our military bases and perpetual rental income. We need to stop the potential sales of Hawaii military bases designed to pay down the U.S. deficit. Think about that. These military bases need to be returned to the Native Hawaiian community. We need perpetual income, and the rentals from the rentals of military bases would be, a share of the compensation that's due us for all these years. Hawaii is the only state amongst the 50 states that has not received rental incomes for the use of their military properties. We need to change that. Independence means tariffs. Every year, over $6 billion in tariffs are collected by the United States and Hawaii. As an independent nation, we'll be collecting that. Think about that. We'll be collecting that, not the United States. The nation of Hawaii. When we talk about foreign aid, we're allowing ourselves to receive foreign aid for countries throughout the world. As an independent nation, we have an opportunity through diplomatic means to achieve and receive foreign aid. This is big, big money. If I'm in the nation and we're going to build this nation, we need to have a financial base. Let's think about this. The Scientific and Medical Research Center of the world. Given the reality of our location in the Pacific, promoting research and development possibilities would open Hawaii up to financial royalties through the cultivation of health cures in all areas of science, medicine, and technology. Our multi-ethnic community provides the best training ground for world-class doctors. Queen Emma's Medical Center leads the Pacific in the latest medical technology and research. We need to continue her mission. Independence. What does that mean when we speak of the state of Hawaii? Independence may be, for some, a frightening thought. However, an agreement could be negotiated over a transition period, such as the one between Britain and China, regarding the turnover of Hong Kong back to China. The transition, the lessons learned, the transition to our independence may be traumatic for some, but there are ways of alleviating that fear and moving forward as they did, as an example, between Hong Kong, Great Britain. The Hawaiian nation, as an independent nation, would be a financial benefit to the state of Hawaii. Why? We could share in the cost of administering infrastructure. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. We could peacefully coexist during that transition period.
We could share in the use of the Capitol building to conduct our legislative sessions when the legislature is not in session. In addition, the Hawaiian Nation could finance areas that the state is unable to take care of now. Independence. We are the Pico of the Pacific. Hawaii and our people demonstrate to the world that harmony through diversity exists here. We are the Pico of peace. Our sons should not have to experience another war on foreign turf. War should only be for the protection of our Aina. We should not lose another son, another brother, another husband, another father, another daughter for political greed and power. Just as the ruling chief, Keoa, sacrificed his life, so all his people of Ka'u would not suffer warfare and death. So must Kanaka Maoli understand the highest form of spiritual courage. Keakua sacrificed his life so we could live in peace. Keakua gave us the blessings of being born in Hawaii. Hawaii is the Pico of the Pacific. Queen Urukalani executed a document with President Grover Cleveland. The Queen locked us into an independence position when she executed the 2 executive agreements with President Grover Cleveland to restore the Kingdom of Hawaii. He locked us in. Under international law, executive agreements by 2 sovereign heads of state are considered to be treaties. Treaties under the U.S. Constitution are the supreme law of the land. All foreign affairs fall under the jurisdiction of the executive branch of the United States. The Kingdom of Hawaii continues to exist under the executive branch of the United States, who has sole jurisdiction over foreign affairs. That responsibility is with the current President of the United States, Barack Obama. The Kingdom of Hawaii continues to exist. Independence is the proper legal standing under international law. Conclusion. What will independence provide? What benefits would it provide if we were to select independence? A superior bargaining position from which to negotiate with other governments. A better chance to limit the number of concessions that would have to be made if we choose state recognition or federal recognition. An opportunity for a more diverse economic base. An opportunity to control our own destiny. I'm a member of Queen Emma Hawaiian Civic Club. Our club carries on the traditions and the vision of Queen Emma, a leader in her own time. Her legacy continues with Queen's Hospital, Elani School, St. Andrew's Priory, and many other areas. The legacy that's been left by our royal family, us, meant something. We need to pay attention to the many benefits that independence has to offer. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo Keone. Our next speaker is Russell Stewart.
Let's see, we have our PowerPoint ready. I was wondering if I could just ask everybody's indulgence. I thought I was younger on Saturday, so I jumped over a rope, hurt my knee. So, is it okay with everybody if I sit down? Yeah, and if it's okay, I can move this and, maybe we can put this on the floor so. Oh, okay, start my timer over here. So I'm Kahu Russell Stewart, born and raised here in the Kalihi and Kuakini Male Rights Housing area. And right now I'm a Kahu in the Kaneohe area. But I just wanted to share from a certain perspective. I always get nervous when I sit down and share with our people because the responsibility is so much. And I don't ever want to get to the place where I'm cocky about anything. I need to stay humble. I don't like the concept of politics. The word politics is from two Greek words. Poly means many. Ticks are bloodsuckers. Okay. So, I don't want to participate in that. All right? So I'm just going to talk. Just going to share. One of the things that we've, wanted to do, and I think, that there's a way of being able to get along, and to get things done without being a bully or being aggressive in certain ways. Last time we got together, we talked about how we can, have OHA give them the tools to get out of the picture. Right now, OHA is in the picture. They hold the funds, but yet, and they are governed by certain rules that they have to abide by. And so we have to understand that and work together with them and give them a way out. And we use our weaknesses to do that sometimes. I used the weakness of my knee, and I asked them for help. They helped me. They brought me a chair. I wanted to get rid of the sign that says OHA. Okay? But I didn't have to fight them for that, right? So now the picture of OHA is out of the way. Okay, so I did that on purpose because I just want to express that there are ways of doing things that we don't have to fight. Okay, but we can cooperate with each other and help one another and still get done what is beneficial to both of us. If I had another chair, or if this chair right here was occupied by our queen, I want to ask you a question. Okay, if this chair was occupied by the queen right now, would we be acting the way we've been acting? Would we be saying the things that we've been saying? Would we be proposing solutions or recommendations that we've been recommending, knowing what the queen wanted? Would we be going against her, or would we be supporting her? Those are just questions. And I had to come to that point of answering those questions inside of myself. So I don't have a process to present. I don't. I don't have any good ideas to present. What I want to present today is what the Queen would have me present if I were speaking on her behalf. Okay? To the best of my ability and the best of my knowledge. That's what I want to present. So I want to look at and just put up on the screen what the Queen left behind as a process for her people. Because I believe all of us, we really believe that the Queen wanted the best for her people, and that she was a wise woman, she was smart, she was knowledgeable, she was skillful in international law, and she set up processes to take care of her people. She did not leave us defenseless. All right. So I just want to go over the process and put it up for you and say, well, this is what the Queen left. Is this good enough for us today? Will it still work? I believe it still will. Okay. So the reinstatement process that I want to look at is this. What is our right to reinstate? Our right comes from is pursuant to the following rights and authorities. Now, authorities are the laws that give us the right to do things. The law of nation. How many of you have read the law of nations? Okay. It's a book. It's a bunch of books. But it's specifically one book that we're going to be talking about. If you haven't read that, then you don't know where we are in our right to reinstate, because that's where it comes from. All the nations of the world use laws of nations in order to have intercourse with other nations and to recognize other nations. At least 17 violations of the Law of Nations took place. Queen Liliuokalani's protest, the Law of Nations, Book 1, Sections 199, international law, those are the sections from Oppenheim, Constitution of the Kingdom of Hawaii in 1887, as amended with those articles there, the election laws of the kingdom. When we're talking about elections and how to hold them, we have the election laws. They are still in writing. We have them today. We don't have to rewrite them. Of Kalakaua in 1890, chapter, 86, pages 191 to 239. How did we get to the next one here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So in 1887, Queen Liliuokalani swears an oath to uphold the Constitution of 1887 as stated as follows. So if she swore to it, then she swore to it to and the whole nation. It became law for the whole nation. The foreign relations of the United States, 1894, the affairs in Hawaii, you can look those things up in the appendix, and they will give you this thing that you can look at right here. It says at 2:00 p.m., we entered the room where all the privy councilors were assembled, and there, in their presence, I took the oath of office and swore to abide by the Constitution of 1887. So, Queen, would you like us to still abide by that? Okay. At 2:00, we also look at the laws of Her Majesty Liliuokalani, the Queen of the Hawaiian Islands. These are the amendments that were made to the Constitution. Those are still in effect. Laws of nations comes out of out of this, what the Queen said here. The Supreme Court shall have the power to declare null and void any such law, ordinance, order, or decree as may, upon mature deliberations, appear to it to be contrary to the Constitution or opposed to the law of nations. So right there, she aligns herself with the law of nations. Her protest, I believe we have that on sound. Can we play that? This is the protest of the Queen. This is what she wrote. Okay, so we see here that the Queen said, until such time as the government of the United States, not the state of Hawaii, not OHA, not any of us, until such time that the government of the United States shall, upon the facts being presented to it, undo the action of its representatives and reinstate me, speaking at that time, she was the sovereign. Reinstate the sovereign in the authority which I claim is the constitutional sovereign of the Hawaiian Island. Grover Cleveland said it was neither a government de facto nor de jure, speaking of the overthrow government, but by an act of war committed with the participation of a diplomatic representative of the United States and without authority of Congress, this overthrow took place. But the law of nations is founded upon reason and justice. Again, speaking of the law of nation, used as his authority to give back the kingdom, which he was trying to do, on the ground that it cannot allow itself at the bottom there to refuse to redress an injury inflicted through an abuse of power by officers clothed with its authority and wearing its uniform, and on the same ground if a feeble but friendly state is in danger of being robbed of its independence and its sovereignty by a misuse of the name and power of the United States, the United States cannot fail to vindicate its honor and its sense of justice by an earnest effort to make all possible reparation. See, we need to have the United States, we need to have Washington, D.C. sitting at this table listening to us. They're the ones that we have to deal with on a nation-to-nation status. The principles apply to the present case with irresistible force. When special conditions of the Queen's surrender of her sovereignty are recalled, she surrendered not to the provisional government, which is right now the state of Hawaii, actually, but to the United States. She surrendered not absolutely and permanently, but temporarily and conditionally until such time as the facts could be considered by the United States. I don't have time to go through all of these things, but I want to get to the restoration process here. Education is the ultimate key to a successful government. Those that govern need to know these things. The law of nation, international law, treaties and agreements, negotiation and deliberation procedures, all constitutions of the Kingdom of Hawaii, all laws of the Kingdom of Hawaii, rules and procedures of Hawaii, rights and liberties, duties, obligations, forms of government. There are many different forms of government. If we want to choose a form of government after the nation has been reset, we have to know what forms are available. Civil and political societies, election laws of Hawaii. We can't make up our own. There are election laws, miscellaneous laws, codes, rules, etc. Simple civics, election procedure and qualifications. And we see here how they are enumerated. I wish I had more time to go through these individually. The districts of the kingdom were 24 districts, the districts of Kauai, of Oahu, of Maui, of Hawaii. 24 nobles, 24 representatives. 3 upper house and 3 lower house districts of Kauai are shown here. These are the 9 upper house and 9 lower house districts of the island of Oahu. You can see again the districts of Maui, of the Maui group there, of the Big Island of Hawaii. This is the structure of the kingdom, government structure. There is the treasury, the kingdom, under the Kingdom of Hawaii. We see the treasury, we see the executive, the legislature, and the judicial. You also see the king and queen, or king or queen at that time was the sovereign. In absence of the king or queen, can we go back to that one? Let's see. How did that go by itself here? Okay. In absence of the king and queen, we see the Privy Council and cabinet would be those who would run the government temporarily to bring it back into alignment. The Department of Public Education would be under the Privy Council. The governors of the various islands would be under the cabinet. The Department of the Interior, Department of Foreign Affairs, and Department of Finance would be directly under the rulership. The cabinet is comprised of the Attorney General, the Minister of Finance, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Minister of the Interior. Office of the Attorney General would entail the marshals, the sheriff, the deputy sheriff, and the constables. Department of Finance, these are the areas where the Department of Finance and the Finance Minister would have to understand and would have discretion over. The Department of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Article 9, Powers and Duties in General, the diplomatic and consular agents of foreign nations. The Department of the Interior would cover these areas. The Minister of the Interior would cover these 8 areas: naturalization, government press, post office, shipping, all that kind of stuff. And the Department of Public Instruction, Board of Education, instead of Board of Indoctrination like we have now, and the Bureau of Public Instruction, Inspector General of Schools, etc. Legislative Department would cover the Legislative Assembly, the King and the Cabinet, the House of Nobles, not to exceed 30, and the House of Representatives, no less than 24, no more than 30. This is the House of Nobles as it's broken down by districts. The House of Representatives is broken down by districts. Now, this is all set up during the Queen's time. This is what she swore to uphold. Judiciary Department, the Supreme Court is under the Attorney General with the Chief Justice, Clerk of the Court, etc., and all of the circuit courts down below. Well, you see, we don't have to reset all these things. It's all there. The Supreme Court, with the Chief Justice and the Associate Justices and the circuit courts beneath that, the police courts and the district courts. Election proclamation, at least 30 days before a general election, and wherever he receives proper notice, at least 20 days before a special election, Minister of the Interior must issue an election proclamation. We need a Minister of the Interior, and transmit copies of the same to the various boards of inspectors of elections throughout the kingdom, or where such election is to be held. Such proclamation shall also be published in Honolulu. Inspectors of elections, I got one more minute, of the duties of the inspectors of the election. It's all laid out what their duties are. We see here, again, more of the same. The qualification of the electors of nobles. So people who can elect the nobles, what are their qualifications? Are you going to be voters? Are you going to be electors? What are the qualifications that you will have to have? How about for the qualifications of the electors of representatives, which is different from the qualification for electors of nobles? What are the nobles? What are their qualifications themselves? Qualifications of the nobles is laid out there. Qualifications of the representatives is laid out. Qualifications of registration, who can register and how to register. It's all laid out. What disqualifies people. And my time is up, so I'm disqualified from going any further. But there's a lot more. But the Queen set it up. It's there. It's there. Are we going to agree with her, or are we going to revolt?
Hallelujah. So we have time for one more speaker before we go to lunch. And Henry No, who is initially going to be our first speaker coming from lunch, has agreed to move up to this slot. So mahalo, Henry. all of the thumb drive material that's being provided on the screen, and then some of the speakers who didn't necessarily have a PowerPoint but had a lot of good handouts in Word files, they're going to be uploaded on our oha.org/nation building website, and you can see them there and download them and have them. So if you want to see this at home, you'll be able to.
Aloha. Get some water. Sorry. Kind of correct. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Henry Moore, and I've been involved with trying to resolve this loss of sovereignty for our Kanaka people now since I've been in high school, which was back in 2002. That was a good try, right? But anyway, I'm really not going to share with you any historical information, okay, because I believe that the purpose of OHA's Kamau AR, RAR, third and fourth, yeah, particularly the third, if you were to read the mission statement, yeah, they shared that this governance summit, yeah, the goal was to develop educational materials that build confidence among our lahui and others that we can achieve political recognition as a nation through one or more viable, well-considered paths, and that such recognition will improve lives. Okay? And when I looked at that, what I saw was OHA has already accepted, yeah, to improve the lives of all Kanaka Maoli people by agreeing to fund and support a process that is controlled by the state, and they also state in Act 195 that they will pursue federal recognition, okay? And that means that the federal law will control that governing process. So, if OHA is true to its intent, right, and states that if there is a more viable process, then that's the purpose of why I'm here to present to this body, yeah, a process that I believe that every one of us sitting here have the equal opportunity to participate in this process. Now, talking about if you were a leader of some advocate process for sovereignty, you're a leader of a civic club, you know, you are a trustee for OHA. This is the process, I believe, that everybody has equal footing to participate in. No restrictions other than you would have to sign up so that you can be properly identified. Okay? And if you're Kanaka Maoli, that's your inherent right. And the process that we're advocating, yeah, is what Russell just shared to you guys. Okay? They want to reinstate the process. We believe that in 1999, we fulfilled that obligation and reinstated the former government. We did exactly what Russell was telling you guys. Okay? We looked at the Hawaiian laws, and all we said was, why reinvent the wheel? Let's take these steps. Okay? And when I say we started off with the first convention, about 200 Kanakas. Several foreigners also participated, and this was back in March 13, 1999, that weekend. And the purpose why we were there was to simply begin the process of putting together yeah, a sovereign, independent governance that we, Kanaka Maoli, can go out into our community from that point on and educate our people to what rights do we still possess and how can we as a Kanaka Maoli populace be able to accomplish and achieve acquiring those rights. And I believe the only right that we set out to do was to acquire recognition for our Kanaka people. Okay? I mean, it has to be the most simplest thing to comprehend, but it gets so diluted by everybody else's thoughts on what should we do to save the Hawaiian people, when the very first step to me begins with getting the Kanaka people to agree to participate in one process. So this process don't belong, from what I keep hearing, oh, this is Henry Noah's process. We started in March 13, 1999 with 200 of us. And I'm proud to announce today that there's 5,000 individuals that participate today in this process. Registered, okay? And aloha, no love, we are only. Actually, I don't like continue so I can get on YouTube. No. And basically, okay, what I see, right, is that we have so much leadership available in our Kanaka society. The question that I keep asking myself, how is it possible to get this leadership, yeah, to agree to work together? I say that you would have to present something pono. Because if it ain't pono, we're going to know from these leaders that it ain't pono. And that's, to me, that's the conflict that I've seen in the past. It's a conflict that I see today. And it's a conflict I see going to continue if OHA has its ways. I don't care how many times these trustees will stand up in front of you and keep telling you how they're going to fix the role to have you, yeah, right, under duress. Ain't nobody going to listen to you. Ain't nobody going to listen to that. Why? You got to realize the only thing that they want from the 100,000 to Kanakas who will sign up, who don't know what some of us in here knows, I'm not saying all, I'm saying some of us here knows, is for the Hawaiian, Native Hawaiian Americans to participate, yeah, in one state and federal funded process. That's all they want. Okay? Why? The moment you do that, okay, this is what happens. You're going to change your identity. This is my intro. That is fast back there. Yeah, this is my intro. It will change your identity from Hawaiians / Kanaka Maoli people to a U.S. Native American Hawaiian to qualify and become a federal recognized citizen. That's all they want. Okay? Second, give the U.S. the right to finally claim our national, crown, government, and private lands that were illegally confiscated since 1893. We never gave it up. They even told you that in the Public Law 103-150, paragraph 29. They apologized to us, and they gave notice to the world that they told us they're sorry. Okay? You know what the next move is? They got the right now to come to us and get us to give it to them. Okay? Number 3, yeah? When all goes through, these things all going to occur without you even knowing it. Give the U.S. the right to show the world that we, the Kanaka Maoli people, agree through the devious U.S. federal legislation, Native Hawaiian Reorganization Act, the Akaka Bill, yeah, and the Kanai Olovalu Road Commission to extinguish our right to sovereign independence because we accept federal recognition. I don't know about you, Kanaka, but I've been saying this every time I show up, okay? Because I'm not interested in teaching you Kanaka history. You guys had 40 years, some of you had 50 years to learn that. And if you never catch on yet from watching Olelo or whatever, I don't know why I gotta sit you listening to the same rap over and over and over. I mean, let's all, yeah, change our tune. Because, like I told you, OHA already set sail their ship. And the only thing when move that course is if we, the independent believers, come out of here today, yeah, with a process to offer to them that we going to an election and you will fund this election, okay? And we're going to develop the educational material that will help the 100,000 Kanakas out there who don't know what the hell is going on so they can learn what nation within a nation will give to them and their next generations, and what we offering one simple independent process where we make the decisions, us Kanakas, okay? And some people want to know, where I getting this information from? How can I come to this conclusion that we're giving all of this up? Well, let me share this with you. Yeah, I make this statement based upon facts in law and precedent that occurred to Native American Indians and Alaskans. Okay? 2 indigenous populations in America. Okay? In 1936, the U.S. federal government introduced and passed legislation named the Native American Reorganization Act. That was agreed to by the Native American Indians, and the result was, in exchange for federal recognition, they knowingly and unknowingly gave up their Aboriginal land title rights to the U.S. government. They're sick today. When I talk to some of the chairpersons, yeah, of tribes, they cannot believe that their ancestors did that. But you know what? When you're in one situation that you can be taken advantage of, yeah, you're going to take whatever they offer because you're looking at the desperate situations. And I cannot blame the Indian and Alaskans to have done that. But to me, I don't see us living the same hardship the Native Indians living. That's the one thing that I see, that too bad we're not in that condition, because if we were, we would be united because we would have that desperation to unite. Today, I don't see the desperation. Us Kanakas, we're living good. But that's still not the point. I never come here to talk about living good. I come up here to talk about we have to make this change if we plan to survive and pass this on to our future. And this is not a hard change to make, okay? In 1971, the same fate occurred to the Alaskans when they agreed to U.S. federal legislation called Native Alaskan Land Claims Act, that in exchange for federal recognition, they gave up their Aboriginal land title rights to the U.S. government. The point is, Kanaka, we are in the same predicament that the Native Indians and Alaskans were in and can no longer deny the fate of those 2 tribes. Because this educational material reveal and expose the devious actions conducted by the U.S. and state government officials to connive the Native American Hawaiians to give up the Kanaka Maoli rights to their national lands and their sovereign independent status. Okay? And we're not going to let that happen. All right? Because, yeah, what is the reinstated Hawaiian government? Okay? Simply put, RHG represents the former lawful government of Hawaii. That's who we are. Everything that you saw Russell went present, yeah, the 24 House of Nobles, the 24 representatives, back in March 13, 1999, yeah, I really congratulate the 200 Kanakas who came forward, because that's where we went hammer out where the women couldn't vote. Was in that convention. You know, we went put the provisional government together, and you know what we said? We need to address some of the problems that we're going to encounter if we don't fix it in this legislative assembly that we put together. And they came on their own from the 24 districts. You know, I'm going to tell you, it took me 3.5 years to organize one convention. Try get representatives from every island according to the kingdom law from the 24 districts. Took me 3.5 years. Why? So I can stand here today and share with you that a process was conducted, yeah, according to kingdom law, infused with international law standards, so that this day we expected it to arrive. We actually knew that this day was going to come, where we could come and talk to our leaders. You want to be a leader in this community? Then let your people elect you. Okay? In our process, I'm proud to announce to you that I got elected as the Prime Minister. But this was done by our constituents. The point is, there was a process that you have to perform. Okay? You have to be a part of. And everybody, I know people in here that I've spoke to, hey, why you guys not participate? We started in 1999. We had the next election in 2003. And then I remember we was at the palace in 2007, and I told everybody at the palace, a lot of these leaders are here, why you guys not like participate in one election? Well, because you guys control them. How are you going to control one election? I can tell you it's very difficult to conduct an election of that magnitude without funding. And we have the documentation. We documented every step that we did. It's an archive that we can stand behind and share with our people. Listen, we, the Kanaka Maoli people, took the time to develop a process so we could come forward and present it to our people. And we presented it 4 times. 2011, we had another election, guys. Okay? And each election, we gathered more and more Kanakas. And right now, I can share with you, yeah, that our how would you say, our citizen base, yeah, has actually gotten to 5,000. With funding from OHA announcing, yeah, that we will participate in an independent election, and the educational material shows the difference between nation within a nation, yeah, and independence. That 100,000 that they claim that they want to have their process conducted will turn their judgments because they're now understanding. They're going to know, like how we know in here, we cannot permit us to get railroaded by the U.S. government. Okay? Now, I will run through this real quickly because I don't have to. I think Russell covered it for me. You know, we got the House of Representatives. Okay? Boom. What was and is the goals of the reinstated Hawaiian government? We realized that if we could acquire proper claimant status, we would be able to pursue recognition. Okay? And then to establish a lawful political body to represent our Kanaka Maoli. Because without a government, you're not going to be able to proceed. You're going to be only come forward and keep sharing rhetoric over and over and over. With the government, you share progress. And our progress report is today, just yesterday in Maui Court, 4 of our cases all got dismissed. Yeah, for traveling, right to travel, for conducting business under our government authority. Okay? Right now, we're up against A and B for 567 acres. Yeah, they're trying to get one preliminary injunction, 4 separate court hearings, yeah, since January. We got one in May 28, the 5th one, and every time we show up, we're realizing A and B don't own the property. They don't know what to do, and I believe that's the reason why the courts are stalling. They're stalling. So we're progressing as we move along. But this government belongs to you. How does it belong to you? You won't agree to participate in one election. At least tell yourself that that election going to preserve your inherent rights, your sovereign independent rights. Don't take nothing less. Okay? And we also authorize and defend our sovereign rights, the right to reclaim our national lands, to exercise political authority, to grant rights to our nationals, the right to travel, the right to do business. Okay? We also developed, I say developed, diplomatic relations with other sovereign nations. Why? The UN cannot recognize one nation. Okay? They cannot. You got to get recognition from other sovereign nations. So I've been fortunate that our Kanakas who believe in this process have been able to provide funding to go and visit some very powerful nations. And my job when I got there was to explain to them that a process to acquire sovereign independence has been initiated, and we are here to explain, how we're moving forward, and when we get to that pinnacle, will you come forward to recognize our nation? Okay? And we have liaisons from these countries who we talk to and who we are now currently telling them, that the opportunity is arising, that our people have the opportunity to participate in one national election to acquire their sovereign recognition. Okay? What sets the we federal government apart from other sovereignty process? We maintain and operating and functioning government. This is the reward for us doing it. Nobody gets paid since March 1399. We've had 39 conventions. Everybody pay their own way. You get elected, your reward is you got to pay for your airplane ticket, your room, your meals, and you got to attend the convention. When we first started, we had to conduct four conventions a year because as so much work had to take place so that we could come out and we have laws. We adopted the kingdom laws. We amended kingdom laws. You want to open up a bank in the kingdom? The laws are in place to do that already. You want to open up on foreign trade? The laws are in place to make that happen already. We're having the next election, 2015. This is 2014. The next election can be conducted, with ample amount of time to educate our people to the 2 separate processes. And in my heart, I know that the 100,000 Kanaka Maoli who are like deers walking into one headlight, don't know what's going on, going to finally realize that there in fact exists a true and correct process, for them. I don't need to cover the rest. I've been looking at Paul, and I just want to close, with this. I just want to close with this. And I thought she was on my side because she was my secretary last time I was here. But anyway, listen, in my closure, the The current Kanai'olowalo educational material is contradictory to the intended goal. Okay? Well, first, that only those Hawaiians who register on the roll shall qualify to participate. Number two, there is no mentioning that the governing entity shall be controlled by the state of Hawaii laws. There's nothing that in there that states that the Act 195 shall reaffirm Hawaii's statehood. Why would they be doing that? Ask yourself the question. When you get illegally overthrown, everything that follows is illegal. Everything. But they need you, us Kanakas, to affirm that. Because that's the only way you will give them authority. Okay, they will be able to acquire it. Number four, that the state-controlled Hawaiian governing entity will seek federal recognition. That's what it says, okay? All these contradictions is not being explained to the Lahui, because if the Kanaka Maoli was told the truth about the state-controlled Kanai'olowalo process, our Lahui will lose confidence, as what we see here. We don't have our confidence because we cannot trust what OHA is doing and not support the heinous process to achieve political recognition. The United States Hawaiian government has never wavered or compromised our goal of acquiring sovereign independence. Our educational materials focus on describing the value of acquiring sovereign independence free of state and federal control. These values include sovereign independence means no more control of federal, state, and county laws that has plagued our people for 120 years. Number two, acquiring political authority to make proper decisions on how and what happens in our nation. No more denying our rightful claim to our lands and what happens on the land. Stop desecrating our sacred sites. No more GMO, no more unwanted developments, no more restrictions on water rights. The list goes on and on and on. I hear complaints after complaints after complaints. Go put back your nation. Get rid of the source that's causing the complaint. That's how we fix our nation. That's how we get healthy. Number three, legal jurisdiction will replace de facto jurisdiction. No more de facto judgments based on Hawaii revised statute laws that contradict kingdom laws. Number four, having the right to control the income currently controlled by the de facto state of Hawaii and the county governments. The local government will be able to collect all fees that the federal government has been collecting, air and sea space payments, collect lease rentals for military bases that the U.S. government occupy for free, or peanuts, such as $1 per year paid by the U.S. government to the state for all of Makua Valley. The culture will be protected and enhanced by the lawful Hawaiian government. The spiritual healing can begin and our people can finally remove the heather and grow as nationals of their nation. Collect on back rent and reparations. I mean, what I foresee is one vibrant, robust nation coming out, man, coming out. And we just have to agree. I mean, today, okay, if you want to present on this, I got questions for you. Trust me, okay? And if you like ask me questions, fire away. Because I'm really tired of hearing rhetoric, okay? These are many positive values then, there are many more positive values than negative values. America would agree to retaining Pearl Harbor because of the value of maintaining their presence in the Pacific. This lease rental alone will surpass all the monies the state makes in a year. If America don't want it, England, France, or Germany will. Okay? Kanaka, this is a new global world that we will enter, and with the advantage that we possess, I know that the transition from illegal occupation to sovereign independence will be supported by the majority nations in the world. RHG has diplomatic relations with some of these nations, and they can't wait for what we can do. Okay? All this starts with the first step. Pursuing sovereign independence for Hawaii, the reinstated Hawaiian government has prepared this opportunity, and we are ready and competent to be that viable process that all states in the goal of Kamau RAR3. We humbly request that all Kanaka Maoli accept our proposal to conduct the election and establish the lawful Hawaiian government to represent all our people. That's all we're asking for. Okay? Everybody, like I said, you want king, you want queen, you want prime minister, whatever you think you are. Let's go to the booth. Let's go to the electoral polls and make it happen so that we can now start unifying, our government to fix the hever that we always have to confront. And I see that it can end. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Henry. I just want to make one comment, and that is to say that I hope you understand that we would never, as OHA, have held this discussion and have put this up on live stream and will keep it up on live stream if there was not the intent to educate those 122,000 Hawaiians on the roll currently. So we do want them to hear you. We do want them to be educated by what you have to share, and that is why this is being live streamed, and that is why we are doing what we're doing today. So we are so grateful that these voices have come forward, these leaders have come forward to educate our people, and this is indeed the beginning of getting a more enlightened lahui to make good decisions for our future. So with that, can we have Kahu Russell Stewart come and offer our blessing for our navakia, our lunch today? Mahalo nui.
I was going to say something, but that's okay. No. All right. Just want to thank Akua for all of the wonderful people that he's created, that friendships and the possibility of unity, which the whole concept comes from him. Lord, we thank you as the Lord of the universe, Lord of our kingdom. We thank you for the food that we're going to be eating. We thank you for those that prepared it. We ask you to just bless all the people that are here today. We thank you for health. We thank you for progress as we move forward in this. We thank you for unity, and we thank you for grace and your love to prevail. Thank you. Amen.